Hey everyone, this is Chef Stephanie here at Turner Farms Teaching Kitchen, and today I'm actually working with some patty pans, which are squash varietals. So they obviously look a little different than a squash or a zucchini, but they're really delicious, very similar flavor, and they're really kind of fun to look at. So I really like working with them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually marinate them in a little olive oil, salt and pepper, some thyme and oregano, just very simple. Also with some onions from the farm, and then we're going to grill that and just make a simple side. But I just want to show you how I cut up a patty pan squash. So what we want to do first is take the top off and then that little knob. Patty pans and sometimes other squash varietals might get a little sticky or slimy while you're cutting it. And if that's the case, just make sure you clean down your cutting boards so you don't slip or accidentally cut yourself or do something like that. So those will get composted, and obviously from here there are 1,000 different ways to cut it, but what I'm going to actually do today is just cut it down the center, cut it again vertically, and make little strips so that when we go to grill them, they're all relatively equal in size. And I don't think you really want to watch me cut zucchini for 5 minutes. So I already cut the patty pans, and I just sliced some of our onions from the farm. And I diced up some oregano and thyme, very simply. So all I'm going to do is stick that in there with a little bit of olive oil, some salt, and pepper. And at this point you could use tongs, or you can just get your hands dirty and just mix it up. You don't need the veggies to be drowning in oil. All we want is just a nice little sheen on them so that when we go to grill them, there's enough oil on all surfaces that we don't need to constantly oil the grill or anything like that. And usually what I like to do is just do this half an hour before grilling so that some of the oils and the aroma from the thyme and the oregano kind of permeate the squash. So at this point, we're just gonna let this sit here. I'm gonna wash my hands and then we'll be back to grill. Hey, so now that we have our squash marinating, what we're going to do is start grilling it. So my grill is preheated, and if your grill's a little different, if you have an outside grill, typically speaking, in general, all grills have hot spots, so those are gonna cook faster. And with zucchini, you're not really worried about like an internal temperature like meat or anything like that. So this is pretty much just a quick sear, and it's really lovely even raw, so I'm okay with it having some crunch. If you do keep it on the grill long enough, it will get mushy and just sad and burnt as well. So forewarning, if you like that, that's great. If not, just take it off. It's pretty much that simple. So what I'm going to do is take some of my squash, and unless you have asbestos hands like I do, you should probably use some tongs to put the patty pans on the grill so you don't burn your hands. It's kind of nice, you know, it's good to have dexterity later. And usually what I do is I like to make rows so that as they cook, I just rotate them in their spot so that I'm not, you know, I'm not ending up with this pile of zucchini on top of itself and then not knowing which pieces are getting cooked and which ones need to be moved to a hotter spot on the grill. And as you can see, I'm kind of keeping mine to the central location of my grill. That's where the hot spot is on our grill. The way you can tell, besides how quickly it cooks, you can put your hand over the grill, not on the grill, obviously, and the shorter period of time that you can hold your hand above it, the hotter it is. So here it's not as hot, so I know that it's less heated. So that's pretty much the way you can tell. Otherwise, you could obviously get a thermometer that reads the air temp as well. They make those, but I don't think it's really necessary. If you've got a grill that's outside, usually they have thermometers built into them when you close the lid, so that's always a great way to tell the ambient temperature as well. So we're gonna start to flip these, and as you can see, we have some lovely grill marks, so that's what I'm looking for on these. And I'm just gonna keep rotating them so that I get lovely grill marks on all the sides. And then once those are done, I'm gonna put them on my serving platter already because we're just doing a simple side. And then I'll put more squash on the grill. With grilling, you never wanna overload your grill. So I wouldn't want to just dump this all on here. A, you're not going to get beautiful grill marks if that's the case. And B, if it's kind of like, you know, sauteing mushrooms in a pan. If you have them on top of each other, as they're cooking and moisture is released from the vegetables, they're going to kind of steam on themselves, which is not a bad way to make it tender, but it's not going to get the caramelization from the grill contact, and it might make them mushy. So it's just a little forewarning. And if you have patty pans or squash and you like them to be a little bit more tender, and they seem like they're getting too dark on the grill, or their char marks are just, you know, they're getting to the point where you're like, oh, that's perfect, I really don't want any more color on it, you can put it to one of the cooler spots, and some of that residual heat will help cook it and make it a little bit more tender if you like more tender vegetables like that. Or you can stick it into an oven that's preheated on a sheet tray, and that way you can continue to cook it until it's softer. And I recommend that more so for beets or root vegetables or anything that's a little hardier, because they're gonna need a little bit more heat time. But you could always also wrap those up in foil and keep them on a grill like that, cook them that way. But sometimes that takes a lot longer than just putting it in the oven. So, and this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna keep flipping them. I don't wanna flip them constantly, especially if I want those grill marks. I think that's one of the things that we, maybe not everyone, not the royal we, but most of us have trouble with, is just letting either the grill or the pan actually do its job and cook. We get a little nosy and we want to move it around, which is great. We want to check on its process and feel like we're in control, but at the same time we still have to let it do what it's supposed to do. So if I kept moving it around, I wouldn't get those beautiful marks. So just got to be a little bit more patient, that's all. So we just finished taking off the patty pans and the onions from the grill. And what I'm gonna do is just add a little bit more fresh cracked pepper, a little bit of salt, not a ton. I have white wine vinegar, but honestly, you could put any vinegar or even lemon juice or lime juice just for some acidity. And then I drizzle a little bit more olive oil on it, and that's a beautiful side for the summer weather that we have right now. And we luckily have a ton of squashes and onions and a bunch of other things on the farm right now because it's a season. So definitely drop by and come check us out. Thanks and enjoy.